Alright, so I've had a ton of people ask in Fusion, how can you make a cut profile that will cut a straight line for relief, for a bend relief, without having a lead in or a lead out? So, the way to do it is you go in, have your drawing, put your relief cuts where you want them, and then you go in to do a cut profile. So this, I'm going to show you how to make a pattern. So I'm just going to do one part. So the first cut path that I want to do, I want these relief cuts to cut first. So I'll select these two cut paths. And the way I have this drawn to keep my dimensions correct, it needs to cut on the outside of the line. Because that's how I drew it years ago and I'm not changing it. Go through all your settings. And then in your leads, you will leave your lead out and lead in blank, and your pierce offset or pierce clearance, you want to make that 0. We want our feed rate to go a little faster between cuts. So that's our first one. Now the second cut profile, I want to cut just these holes, and I want to have big sweeping lead-ins and lead-outs because I don't want any notches in the holes. So once again, you do your same compensation types in the computer. And then for my lead-in radius, I want to do a 1/4 inch. This is a real pain looking around the phone doing this. I always zero out my pierce clearance. And then for the final cut profile, I want to do my logo and the outside. Make sure you have the right offset for inside and outsides of lines. Everything is always compensated in the computer. Changing this every single time probably isn't required, but I do it every time just so it doesn't screw anything up. And then we'll do a 0.1 radius, 60 degree. I always zero the lead-in distance, which I'm going to go back and change the other one because I don't think I did. So then that profile is done, so I'm going to go back to the second profile, edit, change it. Want 0 lead-in distance because when you have a lead-in radius, it uses that radius as your lead-in. If you add a lead-in distance, it adds to that circle. And if the hole's not big enough, it won't have the cut profile. So you go in here, cut profile 1, I have the 2 lines, no lead-ins. My cut profile 2, I have my circles, and that lead-in is terrible, so we're going to change that. 0.15. That's a good lead-in. That way, every time it pierces and cuts, it's in the center of the hole. Now, I want to cut 4 of these, and I want to cut it in this order. So you take your 3 cut profiles, you select one, Control or Shift, and select the other 3. Right-click, come down to Add to New Pattern, and all your profiles are all in one setup right here. So I want to be able to cut 4, so the number of instances, you raise it to 4, and then you're going to want to change your offset, the spacing, the direction, back up. The direction, you want to select a line, so if you select the bottom line of this pattern, or this sketch, it'll go left and right, and if you select the vertical line, it'll do an automatic pattern vertically. That way you don't have to draw all 4 of your things and space them and then go through and select all your tool paths and all that. Just do one, and then you create a pattern. Let's see here. want it to line up with what I already have, and I think it's 5.64. All right, and then you order it by operation. So this will do all these operations on this one, move to this one, do all the operations, move to this one, do all the operations. So I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to run a simulation. So it will cut straight lines, then it'll cut the circles, then it's going to cut the letters out, and it's going to go and cut the perimeter. And then it goes to the next one, cuts the lines, circles, logo, and that badass NTK logo. It's like ketchup. I put that shit on everything. All right, close it. Make your post-process, whatever you want to do. I'm not doing this because it's already made up in a different program. And that's it. That's how you make cuts on plates with different lead-ins and lead-outs, or no lead-ins and lead-outs on one profile part. And that's how you make a pattern. Cut multiples off of one picture. Thank you. Stop sending me messages on how to do this. So what I left out of that other little tutorial is for your bend relief lines. Mine, I have them set to cut on the outside of these lines, because the way I have this drawn, this line is offset 40 thousandths to compensate for the kerf width. So what you want to do is put the line where you want your bend, and then in the sideways compensation, center it. And then that makes it cut literally point to point on the line. You can see the arrow moved over from the left or the outside to the center. And then it will start, run, get to the end, stops. No lead-ins, no lead-outs.